Today, I want to dive into something I think a lot of filmmakers overlook, and that's how to differentiate yourself. In a world that is full of filmmakers that are all trying to make their mark, finding your specific place is incredibly important. But how do you do that? How do you create a space for yourself and be noticed when the room feels so crowded? As a self-taught filmmaker, I had the same problem over a decade ago when I started shooting videos and making films. I was a nobody with no industry connections, and I barely knew how shutter speed affected my image. I didn't know it all, actually. But over time, I realized there were quite a few things I could do that would differentiate my work from many other people who were seemingly doing the same thing. And it wasn't just being better than them. If all you try to do is be better than the next person, then you will ultimately fail because there will always be someone better than you. Unless your name is Greg Fraser. And in that case, why are you watching this video? Don't you have something better to do, Greg? But let's break down 5 different ways you can set yourself apart and build a reputation that's all your own. And once you've learned those 5 ways, I'll throw it all out and in the end tell you when none of it actually matters. If you're new here, my name is Kerner Sheldon and I'm an ASC award-winning cinematographer and Oscar-nominated and 2-time Emmy-winning filmmaker. I started this channel to relay all of the lessons I've learned in the past 12 years or so of knowing absolutely nothing self-taught filmmaker to DPing and creating films that have been bought by Netflix, HBO, and PBS, among others. I am currently finishing up a mini course about the 10 aspects of cinematic interviews. So subscribe to my newsletter below to get 25% off that course when it launches in the next few weeks. All right, let's get back to how to differentiate yourself as a filmmaker. Here on YouTube and in a lot of filmmaker careers, people all seem to be after the same thing, the sharpest and most technically perfect image. But if you're using the same lenses as everyone else, then your work will probably look like everyone else's. But one way to differentiate yourself is by choosing lenses that stand out, whether that's vintage lenses or unique lenses like the Voigtlander Heliar Classic, which I did a video on and also use extensively on the ASC award-winning documentary King Cole. Or look at famous cinematographer Greg Fraser, hey Greg, who famously used the $50 Helios 44 on The Batman, despite the lens's apparent imperfections. But it was these imperfections that helped Fraser achieve the gritty, imperfect look of that film's Gotham. Another type of lens that has become very popular lately because there are lens manufacturers that are making them actually affordable is anamorphic lenses. And while they're becoming more and more popular, they are still uncommon enough and have a very unique look that will make the images they create feel different than what you usually see online or here on YouTube. I've been lucky enough to test the Laowa Proteus, Atlas Mercury, Lazar Remus, and a few others, and they all have their pros and cons. I would love to do a full video soon comparing all of these different lenses. But none are as unique and interesting and differentiating as the DZO Pavo anamorphic lenses. Now, anamorphic lenses create that cinematic widescreen feel with beautiful lens flares and a unique depth that you just can't quite get with standard spherical lenses. The Pavos in particular offer a unique look and character that's hard to find elsewhere. When you shoot anamorphic, the audience feels the difference, even if they can't exactly pinpoint what is different about the image itself. Let's take a quick look at the DZO Pavo anamorphics. DZO is one of my favorite lens manufacturers that have popped up in the last few years. I have used the Vespid Cinema Primes on quite a few shoots and even on a fiction feature I directed and shot last year. But their most ambitious lens set to date has to be the DZO Pavo anamorphics. After launching with the first 5 lenses, DZO has added quite a few more to the set, which I think now has 9 lenses, ranging from 28mm all the way to 180mm. And here is the difference between those focal lengths, just to give you an idea of the range of this set. The lenses are a 2x D-squeeze and are made for Super 35 sensors, which gives you that ultra widescreen look even on 4.3 sensors like the Alexa Mini or 3.2 open gate sensors like the XH2S or the Panasonic S1H in Super 35 mode. Also, for 2x anamorphics, they are incredibly small and lightweight. Now, they're still hefty, but I am currently shooting a feature doc on Cook's 1.8x anamorphic lenses, and those things weigh like 4 kilos each. So to have a 2x anamorphic set whose weight ranges from 1 kilo to 1.5 is a great alternative. But the most important thing about these lenses are the look that they give you. They have tons of unique character, incredible out of focus areas, and with having that extreme wide angle and tight telephoto, they allow you to get shots that are very unusual for anamorphic lenses. Lenses are truly one of the main factors in how your final images look, and the DZO Pavos don't look like anything else. And here's the kicker. Learning how to master the unique quirks of anamorphic lenses, like their squeeze ratios and framing differences, not only elevates your work, but also makes you an expert in something not everyone is willing to take the time to learn. And being willing to do what others won't is a key differentiator. So let's explore that in our next point. Once you start making money as a cinematographer or filmmaker or one-man band content creator, there comes a point where you are good enough to rest on your laurels and just continue to do the same thing you have been doing for years. If it continues to cover the bills or you keep getting jobs, then there doesn't seem to be any reason to try new things or expand your skill set or take risks in your work. This may be fine if you work in local news or for the same company for 30 years, but today you have to continue to improve or you risk losing your position as a freelancer or content creator. When I was a young filmmaker many moons ago, I often found my place in the industry by being willing to do things that other, more established filmmakers would not. Make higher quality work for less money and more time, do something on the edge of danger, or spend my free time learning new tools that would elevate my work. For example, learning how to use the first gimbals that came to market was not a simple just turn on and go process that it is today. Same with flying drones. But by putting in the time and effort to learn these new skills, it instantly made me more hireable because it elevated my work, especially in the commercial space. So being willing to do what others won't can mean a lot of things, whether it's learning new and complicated tools, being willing to go into dangerous areas, or spending more time or getting paid less, whatever it is. There are ways to differentiate yourself as the person who is game for whatever it takes. And that will make you stand out against the old guard who are content to cruise. And sometimes this means being willing to actually go to a place that others won't. Number 3, focus on a place or location. Another way to stand out as a cinematographer or filmmaker is to zero in on a specific location or place and make it your canvas. Think of Scorsese in the 70s and the way he showcased New York City, or Jimmy Chin and his unique ability to combine his love for climbing with incredible images. Now there's a guy who merged his dangerous hobby with filmmaking and became a filmmaker who is willing to do stuff that others just weren't. When you focus on a location, you start to understand the nuances of its light, its moods, its colors. You learn how it changes with the seasons, the time of day, and even the weather. This expertise lets you create images that feel unique because they're drawn from a specific environment that you've learned inside and out. As filmmaking partners, my wife and I have centered a lot of our work around our home region of Appalachia. And when King Cole was released last year, we received tons of feedback from people saying they had never seen Appalachia depicted like that in a film before. And that is the power of truly knowing a place. I always joked on Q&As that our team had been location scouting for that film for 30 years, and that's true. We know the state of West Virginia and the region of Appalachia really, really well. And by continuing to showcase the region through film, we are able to differentiate our work from others. When you specialize like this, people come to you because they know you can capture that place in a way that nobody else can. It becomes part of your signature. And as a bonus, it pushes you to get creative with how you film something you see every day. And that's where the true magic happens. Now, maybe places aren't what you're drawn to. Maybe it's subjects. Another great way to set yourself apart is to become known for a specific genre or style. Are you obsessed with outdoor adventures? Then make that your focus. Spend time understanding the intricacies of filming in rugged environments where you have to deal with elements like unpredictable weather, tricky lighting, and constantly moving subjects. Or maybe your thing is comedy. That's a genre that requires a particular visual rhythm to land jokes just right. Knowing how to time your shots, where to place your camera for maximum comedic effect, and how to light a scene to make the humor pop. That's an art form in itself.
I can't read your sign. What does it say?
Sun dropped the clown. Honk honk, because clowns just want to have sun.
Okay. I'd say you're on base. Would you say she's on base? On a walk. You're on base on a walk right now.
A couple years ago, I DP'd a mockumentary called Best Clowns and really had to study how mockumentaries are shot and in the way the stories are told to enhance the comedic effect. And it's not an easy process, so being able to learn new skills like that, put them into practice in actual projects and films, will really help differentiate your work from someone else's in the future. Finally, and probably most importantly, don't be afraid to go against the grain. Look, trends come and go. And right now, everyone is into shooting soft lights and making everything look dreamy and clean. But what if you decide to go the other direction? What if you use hard light in a way that gives your work a striking and distinctive look? Or like Greg Fraser, you started using lenses that everyone else at your level was totally ignoring. For him, that means using a budget filmmaker's favorite lens. And for the lower budget films, perhaps that means springing for something different or higher ends, like the DZO Pavos we talked about before. You can also take inspiration from films like Poor Things, which took a bold, albeit a bit strange, approach with the cinematography, crafting something that doesn't look like any other movie out there. When you take risks and go against what's in or what's trending, you end up creating something people haven't seen before. The trick is to trust your instincts and not worry too much about what's trendy. Be the filmmaker who tries new things or breaks the mold and creates a style that is uniquely your own. When you do that, you'll start to attract people who want that bold, different, and unique look that only you can provide. The truth is, standing out in this industry takes a lot of intentional choices. Differentiation comes from the choices you make, whether it's your lens selection or focusing on a specific place or subject, your lighting techniques, or simply doing what nobody else is brave enough to do. You've got to put in the work, experiment, and find what feels true to you. Now, one final thought, specifically for the cinematographers out there. Once you've found your style and start getting hired to film other people's projects, you'll ultimately need to abandon that style and throw it out completely. Why do I say this? Well, because I think it is not the cinematographer's job to have a style at all. Your job as a cinematographer is to shoot a project or film in the style that best suits that particular project. Look at someone like Roger Deakins, who has shot gritty films like No Country for Old Men, and then visual masterpieces like the sci-fi film Blade Runner 2049. Or the dark realism of Prisoners. You may be able to watch those films and find some techniques or overarching style that Deakins employs, but none of them really have the same look and style. Instead, the greatest cinematographers are the ones that can put the director's vision on screen and shoot a film in a way that best suits the story, not their own particular needs. But hey, we're not Deakins, or Greg Fraser. So feel free to focus on a style to differentiate your work for now, and then we can all aim higher when the opportunity to do so comes along. Speaking of cinematography, if you want 5 ways you can improve your own cinematography without actually filming anything at all, watch this video right here, and I'll see you there.